All right, guys, we got an update after we got off the air yesterday, and we learned that Myles Garrett did not practice. He sat out with a hip injury. Now, it doesn't appear this hip injury is going to be too serious. We'll find out if he's practicing shortly here when the Browns take the field in Berea for their final Friday practice before the game. But he did not play. Mary Kay suggested he may have had an MRI earlier in the day, but that is yet to be confirmed. What? Kevin Stefanski will speak, so we will get some clarity. But two-part question, and G, I want to start with you. If Myles can't play, can the Browns still beat the Bengals? And if he does play, how does a hip injury hinder a defensive lineman's effectiveness?
Yeah, we're going to have to put some regular spectacles on for this one.
Uh-oh. Wait, what did you have on?
It's the early glasses change in the history of YouTube.
We're gonna have to
he called an audible in the first series.
Yeah, what you mean his hip hurt? Like, this is funny. We had Zach Jackson in here just yesterday, and what we say? We can talk all this noise we want. The Browns is about 2 or 3 positions away from being out of here very quickly, and one of those positions is Myles Garrett. He cannot be hurt ever. You will find out what the defense looks like without Myles Garrett, and that you don't want to ever have that happen because everybody turns back to normal, just like I did. I went from G. Bush to Garrett because I had to put these glasses right on. So they might want to figure out what's going on. MRI, and I don't like that. What? Like
I didn't see that.
I know. Is that confirmed? And
Mary Kay suggested he may have gotten an MRI.
Oh, don't suggest. That gets so lost in the weeds.
The MRI game is.
I might win the lottery when they draw the next Powerball numbers.
I don't know how y'all is, fellas. But when we go to the doctors and they tell you MRI,
no, that's serious.
Yeah. I don't want no problems with it. Yes, it's a huge problem. And by the way, if you're a defensive lineman, everything that you do and Myles Garrett does. And what makes him elite is he's a ballerina on a tightrope running past offensive linemen. He's this far off the ground. He has all of that weight shifting. He's low right there. Like the weight shifting, the torque, the thrust in his lower body to be able to bend the corner and run the hoops, that's his whole game. He's great at other things, but if you can't bend and you have a hip issue as a defensive lineman, you got to get in the stance and fire out 50 times a game, that's slightly a problem.
Can I ask Jason a question? I don't want to get too far off track here, but to me, the MRI report is massive. If he had one, it raises my level of concern.
Big time, yeah.
But Jay, from a reporting, like the machinations of a report, to me, Mary Kay is one of the best.
Yeah.
I can read you the exact sentence.
Why don't you, before we dive into this?
This is and I'm reading word for word from Cleveland.com, Mary Kay's article. Garrett was seen walking into the Browns facility after practice was over around 3:30 p.m. with his personal physical therapist. He appeared to be walking fine despite the hip injury. It is possible that Garrett underwent an MRI or other exams on Thursday.
It is possible. Jay, typically, for someone like Mary Kay, I would imagine that means she's heard someone say MRI, but she couldn't get it confirmed.
Yeah, I can only speak for me.
That's what
instance. I'm not using the word MRI until it's used to me. I'm not saying she did or I don't know. I don't know what conversation she did or didn't have. But when I've been in that position, you don't
just throw it out there.
Yeah, you don't infer that unless it's been inferred to you or unless you have some reason to believe it.
Yeah, my guess would be she heard it, but couldn't get it confirmed.
Listen, the MRI could come back clean. Like it could just be a precautionary thing.
Yeah.
So I also wouldn't race to a conclusion that this is really, really bad. Now it was very surprising. I was at Browns yesterday. And I did not go out on the field for practice, but everybody and basically they just go out there to take attendance. That's it. Because you can't really, now we're into the season and you can't really watch much and see much. So the reporters who came back in said 95 wasn't there. That's a little odd. And it seemed like it took just a little bit of time for the Browns to put anything out on the injury. So there is reason for concern. He's incredibly tough. We've seen that before. Like he flipped his car and played with some of the injuries that he's had. He's been able to push through.
He missed a week, right?
Yeah, I think he did miss one game.
Played like 10 days
one
later.
game.
But I mean, I would have been in intensive care for 6 months.
I'd still be there.
He missed a week. So he's unbelievably tough when it comes to playing through stuff like this. If there's any chance at all he can play, he's going to play, I would imagine.
That's what I would say.
We just don't have enough information yet to make any sort of conclusion on that. Today will be telling if he's out there today and what the injury report says afterwards. And we'll see. Friday's injury report's usually pretty revealing.
To me, Mike's initial question of like how much of a difference does it make in the game? I mean, now I'm picking the Bengals to win either way, but the Browns have like a reasonable chance. They got no shot without Myles Garrett. That changes the whole game. Myles Garrett can wreak havoc on the Bengals offensive line. If he's not there, the Browns defensive line without him, I don't know. We don't know what. I mean, it's at best okay. At best.
What you mean at best?
You know, well, just because we don't know enough about Mason Graham and whatever.
I mean, I'm trying.
You know,
rookies, but
he's being kind.
Yeah.
In all likelihood, without Myles Garrett, it's atrocious.
Yeah.
I don't know what we can sink our teeth into and say, well, we've always got this guy. We've got flashes of potential all over that line, but it's flashes of potential. It's not established dominance like Myles. If Myles can't go, I think, guys, not only will it have an effect on the defense, it will take the wind out of the entire stadium.
Oh, 100%.
The fans will have less enthusiasm and passion. The offense is going to know, guys, we got to be perfect. No 95 today. I think the impact of losing him would be greater than losing your starting quarterback, even if it was Joe Flacco.
I was just going to say that on any other team. I don't know what it would do to the point spread. Like the Bengals are a 5.5 point favorite, or at least were as of this morning. I assume it still is, right? Usually, unless a quarterback gets hurt, the line does not change. In my mind, it should if Myles Garrett doesn't play.
I would agree with that.
They go to at least 6.
The Browns are the only team in the NFL, except for maybe the Saints because they're in the same boat with quarterback, that if you said, if you asked every Browns fan, okay, either Myles Garrett or Joe Flacco has to sit out this game.
Yeah, give me Myles.
I would take Joe Flacco.
Sit Joe, give me
if
Myles
I had
on
to
the
choose.
field. 100%.
And you wouldn't say that about any other team in the NFL?
Very few, if any.
Because, Joe Flacco's at best, the 31st quarterback, 30th quarterback, 35th quarterback. I mean, who knows? Myles Garrett makes such – the Browns' chance in this game, beyond the Bengals have been bad to start the season. The Browns' best chance is that Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward play like superstars, as they often have against the Bengals. They often have in general, but especially against the Bengals, those two guys have played particularly well. If you don't have one of them, especially Myles Garrett, I don't see any chance at all.
I agree. Bull, I'm surprised that the spread is as small as it is.
Well, this game's in Cleveland.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
And it's the Bengals.
But you know what? I've got a lot of people telling me the Bengals are a Super Bowl contender, and I've got a lot of people telling me the Browns are 32. So
It's
5
also
points.
week 1.
Here's why it's 5 points. The two pillars of the Browns just happen to be, I don't want to call them poison pills because I think that's too strong, but they might be kryptonite to what the Bengals do best. Like, that's what the Browns excel at. Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett. It happens to be the Bengals' strength too. So, rock meets immovable object, like what happens there? If you take the precursor to Denzel, Denzel's great because he only has to stay in coverage for 3 seconds.
Yeah.
What if he has to stay in coverage for 4 and 5 seconds?
Yeah.
I just think that no Myles Garrett, to me, I would move the line to a touchdown.
I would too. I'll be shocked if Myles Garrett doesn't play in this game. Obviously, I don't know what's going on.
Sure.
Just knowing him, as Jason talked about, and this has kind of come out of nowhere.
It has, right?
I'll be totally shocked if he doesn't play.
The only couple things that scare me to death, if you play defensive line, a hip or a foot. Now, a foot, you're planning and you're firing off and you're doing things, and your foot doesn't get much blood flow. Hips are devastating. I just go back and remember Bo Jackson, right? When you mess a hip up, now you're talking about it's very difficult to get blood flow in that area. And what usually ends up happening, it leads to degeneration in the socket, and you might end up having to get a hip replacement. Nobody plays with hip replacements, man.
Now, listen, this might be nothing.
Right.
Sure. It might be a little tweak. It might be absolutely nothing.
There's a couple of things. There's things that scare you.
We just went from missed a practice to now the man needs a new hip.
Hey, listen.
In 8 seconds.
The hip replacement.
Let me ask you this, G.
You know why? He was pounding that thing.
Let me ask you this, G. How many games? You picked the Browns to win 6 games this year. Is that correct?
Yes, I did. did.
If I told you Myles Garrett was going to miss the whole season, how many games would you pick him to win?
no-
Oh my God! Now the man's out for the year.
Well,
He missed one practice.
No, I'm just
The most
curious. I'm just
severe
curious.
hip injury.
Myles Garrett was 30 years old.
in my
He's gonna-
mind,
he's
gonna-
I'm glad you asked me
He's gonna be
that.
on the
In my mind,
transplant list by the end of the show.
I go 0 to 100 real
Yeah.
quick. I was like, all right. I just got done watching how the 2016 Brown season unfolded.
Yeah.
And it started off with every single quarterback getting hurt and
Right.
Charlie Whitehurst playing and all this. If Myles Garrett is not playing, that is a snowball effect. Because then you're like, okay, well, what good is Denzel Ward being out there messing around, tackling people on the edge for? Yeah, he already misses 5 games a year. We're going to make that about 10 to 12 this year, if he's anything wrong with him. If he goes out, that snowballs into the worst case scenario for the Browns, because now Myles Garrett is the thing that really keeps it together and keep you playing hard. If Myles Garrett is not playing, you're looking at possibly 1-0 wins.
I mean, we had him last year and won 3.
You won 3 with him healthy.
So, if that should be your baseline.
Yeah.
We saw him single-handedly beat the Indianapolis Colts a couple years ago.
That's true.
By himself.
Yeah.
We couldn't score points. He was just like, I'm going to block the field.
I'm curious, real quick. Myles, and again, I don't want to get carried away. I think he might.
You already suggested he might miss the whole
you might-
season.
we
though.
might-
I
I
was
think
no,
the carried
but,
away
but
already happened.
Yeah.
yesterday, I'm curious. Let's say Myles Garrett is healthy.
Yeah.
He's fine whole season. Yesterday, Mike asked a question. If you had to bet, house on the line, fellas.
Yeah.
You have 2 options. Browns win 9 games. Browns win 0 games. What would you bet?
Man, it's hard. Like I said,
That's a Sophie's choice. I mean, that's
hard.
just impossible.
It is
I'm a good
impossible,
producer.
but if you had to choose,
I would go with 9, just
Right.
because
Go with 9.
That's the right answer.
This is what people forget.
Yeah.
and
It's
I
almost
forget
impossible.
it too. Huh?
It's almost impossible to go winless.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Especially now that there's 17 games.
Yeah.
So this is what we forget, and this is why I hold out hope for
Yeah.
the year. I know Joe Flacco on everybody's rating sheet is 31 or 32 or
Yeah.
29. And I know he's 2 years older than we last saw him in this Browns offense. But go back and look. His last 5 games in 23, he had the most passing yards in the NFL.
he probably had the most interceptions too. Though.
I don't know about that. He may
Yeah.
well have,
Yeah.
but that's the feast or famine that
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
going to
yeah.
get with 40-year-old Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
So for me, the notion that you could somehow get to 9, this is what has to happen. He has to stay healthy the whole year, and he has to play like he did in 2023. The reason I don't think that's going to happen on the injury part, I know what 2 more years on the frame means. I know. And also, I don't know where the wide receivers are. I don't know where the running backs are. Like, he had a little bit of talent with him then. And outside of Njoku, I don't know who his, his partner in crime is going to be on that offense.
I honestly don't think the talent is any different than it was then, in my opinion.
So Judy's as good as Cooper
I think
was?
Judy right now is maybe not quite as good as Cooper, but not far off.
Right.
I don't think he got
But
Njoku
let's just-
is the same. I mean, who else? They had nobody at running back.
this is a masterful punt job. This one is better than a 22 punt. Because what they did, they gave you some good old feelings with Joe, right? They know Joe can throw the ball still. They think he throw it. So it might be entertaining to see Joe throw the ball up and get 300 yards. But the punt job is in the details. You ain't got enough. You ain't got enough in the running game. No. You're thin in the offensive line. You're thin on defense. You lost your starting corner. So even if they are competitive, the goal is to be just competitive enough so that they don't call the hounds and the tiki torches from coming out because we want blood, because we want 3 and something. Mm-hmm. The goal is to be entertaining, give you a little something to pass the time, and then by next year, we made it. They gotta weather the storm. They did enough to hamstring little pieces and parts, because like you said, there's not enough meat on the roster to literally get 9 wins. Mm-hmm. Somebody gonna get hurt somewhere. It just is what it is.
Let's just hope it's not Myles Garrett. Like we said, we'll find out more today. If he's on the field today for practice, I feel a lot
We
better
can take him
about
off
it.
the transplant list.
Yes.
Yep.
His hip will be in
We've got a pulse.
Yep.
I think he was on the gurney with oxygen being
That might be
administered.
the most 0 to 100 moment in the history of the show.
Yeah.
Myles
We've
Garrett
had
missed
some.
I actually
practice.
think it might be, yes.
Yeah, but
Myles
Jay, we've
Garrett
had
missed
some.
practice. Oh my God, the man needs a new hip.
Them hips, boy.